We are
I
back.
was losing it before we went live. I was literally ranting like an effing lunatic. And Purple Valkyrie's like, yes, 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 you're right, but we have to go live now. So, you know why we have to go live, Purple Valkyrie? Because it's
Why?
wild, weird, wonderful, werewolf, for
Yes.
real, Werewolf Woo Woo Wednesday from Wobaga. How you doing, Purple?
I'm doing wonderful. And yes, Salty is right. We were laughing at the insanity that is the world at the moment. But
Yeah.
before we get to that, let's say hello to everybody because we have got a fantastic chat, and I've seen you guys have been voting in the poll, so
Oh,
thank you for
sweet.
that.
I totally kick a werewolf's ass. Totally. Just say it. Yeah.
Let's see. We've got Sagadorf, great to see you. We've got Smiler Wild for me. Hello, lovely, good to see you. We have got our favourite vampire, Nosferatu, who I would not fight. Absolutely not.
I love the poll results. Can I just say that? You guys are freaking awesome. You're like, screw a zombie, man. I'll just bash his goddamn brains in. Sorry, Purple, go ahead.
You're right. We've got Leaky. Good evening. Great to see you. We've got Dave G Sound. Hey, it's been a while. We've got Dempsey. Great to see you, Dempsey. We've got Keely Chow. Roll Tide Keely. We've got Pod Racing Palpatine. Good evening. Great to see you as always. And we've got the lovely ladies Louise and Leia Rose. Hey guys.
Thank you.
Very warm welcome. And we've got Southern Viking and Mr. Batsu who has joined. Great to see you. You guys are awesome.
Great to see everybody.
As promised, we've been kind of, dangling it in front of you for a couple of weeks, but I thought, you know what? It's October. We love werewolves. Let's talk a little bit about werewolves and other things, because Salty's got some amazing articles for us today.
I would, there's one in particular I don't know if we'll get to, and I don't know if I should cover. That's the one I was losing my shit over. But let's talk about werewolves first before I turn into a hysterically cackling good luck with that type of a guy. So yeah.
Yes, let's talk werewolves, because everybody loves werewolves, don't we? It's like a toss up between vampires and werewolves, which is the most popular. But for me, I like werewolves. I very nearly tried to dress up as one today, but I couldn't find my fangs. I
wasn't going to say anything about that, and I was
first world problems.
I was like, Purple, you're supposed to be a werewolf.
Hello. But I will do it for one of the other shows. I promise I will go out and buy some more fangs because I couldn't find mine.
Thanks for the memory.
But I've got the pumpkins going, and got a little bit of Halloween going on. But werewolves. First of all, Salty, do you believe that werewolves are a thing, or do you think they're just myth?
I think that lycanthropy is a real thing. It is a medical diagnosis. It is, of course, in different forms, the outgrowth substantially of hair all over the human body. There are pictures I know from what they used to call freak shows,
yes.
which is not just code for Portland, Seattle, or New York City, or San Francisco, but that they actually had this, these unfortunate individuals that are just literally every square inch of their skin is covered with thick fur, much like Lon Chaney was in The Wolfman. So there is that aspect of it. But, as far as is there some type of thing that happens during full moons, that turns you into a bloodthirsty killer? Besides those people who are worshippers of Moloch and the World Economic Fund, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. Yeah.
I'd like to think there was, and let me say hey to Zach. It's great to see you as always. He's in Seville today. Not at all jealous, not at all. But
I could totally do the Bugs Bunny thing from The Barber of Seville. I would have done that if I knew you were there, dude. Seriously, man. Oh, and Kyle, when you're back to Canada, dude, there's a huge project. There's a huge secret project. I'm not going to turn this into the show, but there's something I need you on. And so, dude, let me know when a good time to ping you is. I'm really excited about this. Going to be happening Halloween night. That's all I'm going to say. Hail, Jake.
It's big and great to see you. And let me just grab these because we've got a couple of super chats that have rolled in. We have got from Psychodorf9. Great to see you, love. He said, I still got 16 rounds of thrice blessed silver, 45 LC, and a shooter that takes them.
Hell to the
Always good
yes.
to be prepared.
Yeah, 45, not 9. I mean, 9 will do it, but sometimes you got to go with the triple tap at the 45 center mass.
Is that a bit more
Silver.
stopping power? I don't know. We're not allowed.
Oh yeah.
We're not allowed
Oh yeah.
pew-pews over here.
She's a brick house. Yeah.
And we have got Mexican Iron Man in the house. Great to see you. Hey there. He says, Purple, I stand at the ready with all weapons needed to protect you from the zombie apocalypse. I shall give you a hat out at my place. Giggity. Thank you.
What about me, dude? Am I just going to be standing outside bait? Is that how we're rolling with this, dude? All right, fine. What if I bring a silver-plated cocktail shaker and some silver tequila?
Now you're talking.
That's what I'm saying. Come on, man. You know?
Oops. And we've got another one. Let me grab this one. Thank you, guys. You guys are incredible. And from Psychodorf says, so the fact that I got to shave my arms once a month, my mum taught me to shave. Nothing wrong with being a little bit hairy. That's fine. It's when you're growing the snout and the claws and the It's all the extras that come with it.
Yeah. I mean, occasional role play among consenting adults.
Yeah.
Sexy like werewolf girl.
We don't kink shame here at Rising. You know that.
Well, we do, but not for that. We do, but not for that. I'm a kink shamer.
And Mexican Iron Man says, salty with tequila, you are in. Come on over.
Hell yeah. I'll even bring some good mariachi band and flamenco, and we can and I have dehydrated lime already for the zombie apocalypse. So we're good. Don't worry about it. You know?
And hey, nearsighted Cyclops Dempsey says, claws, fangs, and bloodlust are the bad parts. Bad parts of being a werewolf or bad parts of being in Hollywood. It's hard to tell these days.
Are you guys talking about the Davos conference that's coming up? I don't care anymore. They're gonna take my channel anyway, so they can kiss my ass. But
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. PayPal was your near strike artillery round. I'm just going to say that. I am out. I walked away from PayPal, and I understand the complexity that puts into my life, but I'm done. This shit's getting real. So let's talk about werewolves, which are just as real but better.
Yes, much more fun, and we've been watching a lot of werewolf movies recently because reasons. But what I thought I would do,
werewolves of Purple Valkyrie. I saw a werewolf down at Purple Valkyrie's house. His hair was perfect.
I wondered what you were going to end with on that.
Leave him wanting more. Let's talk about werewolves. Quit derailing the show, Purple. Let's talk about werewolves.
So what I thought I would do is, since we are talking werewolves, we have got 5 of the most famous historical accounts of werewolves. So we are going to start off with, so it says, spooks, goblins, and creatures of various sorts have always been a part of the human consciousness. Although these days we tend to view them with both fascination and disbelief. Still, there are plenty of people who are firm believers in supernatural monsters, and centuries ago there were even more so. Yes, indeed. Here we have 5 stories dated from the 16th and 17th century featuring historical accounts of one of the monsters we love to fear, werewolves. So, and I also have a more recent one as well to bring up in a little bit later, but we have Peter Stolber, the werewolf farmer of Bedburg, and he is from 1589. Now, this guy is probably one of the most famous ones because of he was really in the wrong place at the wrong time if he wasn't a werewolf.
This guy got his own woodcut from the 16th century, so he must have made an impression. Let's just be honest about it. You were eking out a hand-to-mouth existence back in the 16th century. If you lived to be 30, you were really lucky. So the fact they devoted this much time and effort, this guy must have been something special.
Yes.
Something special.
So, according to accounts, Peter was a farmer in the Rhineland, lived just outside of Bedburg during a time where there's a huge amount of political and religious upheaval. That
Shocking.
could have something to play in his upcoming story. The part of Germany where he lived had been laid waste during the Cologne War between Catholics and Protestants, and now the citizens were being killed, and rumours began to circulate of a gigantic wolf-like creature that was roaming around, taking out people and livestock. How does this tie into poor old Peter? Well, let me tell you.
Wrong place, wrong time, wrong religion. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of like the unvaccinated were last year. Oops.
Yeah, funny how that's kind of come full circle. So this thing, which they said was a wolf, but actually sounds more like a bear, was described as greedy, strong and mighty, with eyes great and large. Could have said big eyes, in which the night sparkled like unto brands of fire, a mouth great and wide, with most sharp and cruel
The person
teeth.
writing this description of the monster was trying to get laid, like he's trying to impress some German chick, like, oh yes, it has stars in its eyes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is like the 1500s version of Twilight. I think.
It's like the Barry White of the 16th century describing the werewolf. Yeah, can't get enough of your love, baby.
It also apparently had a huge body and mighty paws. Good to know. So the people were, of course, terrified of this thing, and they started roaming around in heavily armed groups looking to find out where this thing was. Several attempts were made over the years to catch and kill the monster, but didn't have much success until 1589, when they managed to track the creature and circle it with their dogs. And when the hunters closed in, it wasn't a wolf they found, but it was poor old Peter. Now, how he got mixed up in this, it doesn't actually say, but they didn't really care, because as far as they were concerned, they had caught their werewolf, and some of them actually claimed that they'd seen him transform.
Why do I have the feeling this guy either one was banging one of their wives, two owed them money, or was the wrong religion, or all three of the above at once? You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know about that.
And let me give a shout out to a couple of other guys, because we have got some more people join. We've got Jacob Ironside, D-Bird Martin, Larry. We've got Cavatanio, Cameraman Shay, great to see you. Brightest Day, hello. And Miss Martin Muses, hey sweetheart, great to see you guys. Hey, you guys are awesome. And Kai, hello Kai. Kai is also very well versed when it comes to the supernatural and the weird.
Oh, you should talk sometime.
So let's see what happened to poor old Peter. So it says Staub was tortured and confessed to killing one man, 2 pregnant women, and 13 children. You don't say.
I guess that's a good way to clean the books. Who did it? Well, it was that dude we found in a tree who was banging, Jan's wife. It's just like, all right, cool. We'll get the fuzz out of here. We'll get the cops from the real city, and we can go back to doing our sordid small town crazy 16th century shit. That's what this sounds like,
And with like a lot of these confessions of the time, they weren't content to just have him confess to whatever it is they said he did. They also had to take it a little bit further. So, according to a pamphlet that circulated in London the next year, he further said to his captors that he made a pact with the devil when he was 12, exchanging his soul for various worldly pleasures. What worldly pleasures you can get in 1589, I don't know, but we'll go with that.
Sheep.
Yeah.
And other people's wives in this small village, apparently. They didn't like this guy.
They really didn't, but look how famous he was. Look at all these woodcuttings he got. So he didn't feel that this was enough of an incentive on its own. So Satan also, because he's generous like that, gave him a belt that helped him turn into a wolf. He used this to commit any number of atrocities, including incest, murder, and cannibalism. He was a busy boy.
It's like he had the whole activity list for Jeffrey's Island. The whole activity list for Jeffrey's Island in one belt. Pretty wild, right?
That's pretty wild. And speaking of wild, that's a lot of detail in one woodcut. Look at that. That's incredible. I've seen that look somewhere before. That crazed kind of unhinged look.
It's like they're using 16th century crisis actors like they do on CNN now to make up bullshit stories. I'm just going to say that. This is really strange. This is very strange,
It was, and predictably, poor Peter got executed on October 31st, 1589. Imagine that.
Horribly and gruesomely, he was lashed to a wheel while the flesh was torn from him by red-hot pincers. His limbs were all broken. He was further, because that wasn't enough, decapitated, and finally his body was burned. Now, while I appreciate they're wanting to make sure that the evil is dead, I don't know if they got the right guy. This is like January 6th committee. It really is.
I think poor Peter got hard done by, but it says not only did he get taken out, his mistress and daughter were also accused and were burned alive.
Wow.
So his head was mounted on the body of a wolf and was also set on public display to warn others who might be considering lycanthropy.
Who did this guy bang? Whose wife did this guy? I mean, this was straight up like, this is even darker than like The Godfather when they take out all the families. I mean, this is like straight up medieval. I mean, obviously it was essentially during the Dark Ages, but holy shit. Those Germans, when they go dark,
they don't play around, do they?
They go dark. I mean, Jesus. Wow.
And the chat are cracking me up. Larry says, "'Tis blood, but a flesh wound." Gamper, great to see you. Maybe went a little bit too far, maybe. But you've got to be sure with these sort of things, whether or not he was a werewolf. He certainly wasn't coming back after that.
I want to know what happened to the belt. I mean, I want to know where the belt of lycanthropy went. Is that in the Vatican Library too? Nothing.
Sounds like something you get in the Elder Scrolls, doesn't it? Yeah. I'd like a belt of lycanthropy. That would be pretty cool.
Yet, I think I'd rather still be alive in the 16th century than this brave new world we're living in 2022. Because if you don't like 2022, wait till 2023. That's all I'm going to say. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to scroll down a couple and find another one. So we are going to go down to a little bit later on. And again, we're going to go to Germany. And
Back to Germany.
There was a lot in France and Germany when I was doing the research for this. Not so much in the UK, but apparently France and Germany really had a werewolf problem around about that time, would you believe?
The Holy Roman Empire, I remember I studied this quite a bit in European history back too long ago, wasn't holy, wasn't Roman, and wasn't an empire, but they call it the Holy Roman Empire. But they apparently had a big old problem with making pacts with the devil who made clothes for you that let you do horrible things. Let's find out about this.
Which conveniently then disappeared once the person was no longer an issue. Yes. So this one is the Wolf of Ansbach from 1685. So in Ansbach in Germany was part of the Holy Roman Empire. As Salty correctly said, the district was faced with an actual wolf, which was killing and eating their livestock, and eventually made a step up to killing people, because predators generally do. If there is easy prey, they will do so. So the terrified citizens were certain that not only was the culprit a werewolf, but that the wolf was really the town's former mayor.
What the fuck? Werewolf? There, wolf. Had to be done.
That's to be done. So what I'm reading from this is don't be an outsider. Don't be a mayor that people didn't like, because they'll turn and say you're a werewolf.
Don't bang anybody else's wife, and don't be the wrong religion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So apparently this poor guy was never named in the accounts, but clearly people did not like him. He was actually, he as in former mayor, he was supposedly dead. That's why he was the former mayor, not because he was replaced. And he came back in the form of a wolf. So let's see, a hunting party went after the wolf with a number of dogs and drove the wolf into a well where it was killed. I thought wolves could swim, but that's just me, I guess.
Wolves can also outrun most dogs. And if you're going to take dogs out, and they're probably villager dogs, these are not mastiffs. These are like mongrels. Okay. Maybe they have some hunting dogs, but that wolf will pretty much kick a lot of people's ass. And generally, while there is the theory of lone wolves, a wolf is, I mean, back at this time, they weren't entirely hunted out of Germany. So that would have been part of a pack. I don't know what the hell this was really all about, but I'm sure it involves money, somebody else's wife, or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know about this one. I don't.
Yeah, this one's a little bit sus, and it doesn't quite make as much sense as the previous one with poor Peter, because at least I can kind of get a motive with this one, but I just think we had a lot of bored people trying to get rid of a wolf in this one. But the citizens still firmly believed that the animal was a werewolf. They cut off the wolf's nose, put the mask of a human face on it, dressed it in men's clothing, and then hung it from a pole, presumably as a warning to any other werewolves.
That's ape shit. That's as crazy as stand 6 feet apart and follow the duct tape lines on the grocery store floor and only go down the aisle the way it's pointing. I make these jokes, and yet it's true. We laugh at this crazy, well, I would say fascinating stuff that they did in the 16th century, and now here we are in the 21st century, and look at all the crazy shit people believe now. You know, like
oh my gosh,
Ukraine and all that.
Yeah. You know, 2 weeks to control the spread and all that. Yeah. Let me say hey to Soul Assassin. He said, 16th century, don't be an outsider. 21st century, don't ask questions. Indeed. You are not wrong.
Yeah, where is your QSR code? You are on to nothing and like it? Yeah.
It's the bugs. Yes.
Good luck with that.
I have got a modern day account, which I will bring up in a little bit. But Salty, what have you got for us as well? Because I know you've got some fantastic
okay
things to cover.
Well, let me pick one. I have a lot of really cool articles here.
Yes, he does.
This one, let's start with something. Let's do this one. So this is crazy. This comes from apartmenttherapy.com, which is where you go when you live in an apartment. Not a pod yet, but I'm sure at some point it will be. But this is basically how to make your apartment more homey, or what to look for when looking for a new apartment. So naturally, I was gobsmacked, as Purple Valkyrie would probably say, when I saw that. Here's how to check your new home or apartment for signs of paranormal activity. So this guy apparently would go into homes and businesses to investigate them from spirits that might be causing disturbances on the property. He had some pretty compelling evidence, apparently, with ghostly mist on a camera and captured voices in numerous apartments. But since he began doing that, he constantly got asked advice from people who wanted to investigate their own homes or older homes that they were going to purchase to see if the damn thing wasn't haunted, and if so, what they could do about it. But he provides a handy dandy guide for putting your own guide for charting your way through dealing with paranormal infestation of your home. Number 1, document the disturbances. Make a list of everything that's happened. Are you getting this is so dumb. Are you getting a cold chill in odd spaces, or hearing footsteps in a room no one is in? Write it down, especially so when they find your body, they know how you are losing your mind. Attempt to disprove the disturbances. After you've made that list, try to disprove everything that's happened. Perhaps the cold draft you feel is your air conditioner kicking in. I don't know about you, but I know the difference between when my air conditioner kicks in and there's an effing ghost in my effing house. I'd say this guy is amateur hour embodied. His next suggestion is to set up motion sensitive video cameras. So yes, go ahead, set up all types of webcams everywhere. Make sure they're motion sensitive. Trust me, it's not fun to sift through 8 hours of camera footage with nothing to come up. Yeah. Yeah, that's called watching the network news. Motion sensitive cameras will catch anything that moves and record it. If you can get one with thermal imaging, even the better. Yeah, this guy's.
Why do I get the feeling he's selling all of these things conveniently?
Well, interestingly enough, he says conduct your own EVP sessions. So EVP stands for electric voice phenomena. So apparently you can use your globalist tracking device and get an app for it, and you can turn it on, set it down, and don't touch it, and you can quietly ask questions like, is someone there, what's your name, and then listen for a response. Give some time after each question. Your recorder may catch up on things. Also look for signs like knocking. So I'm going to say this: if you're in your own room and you're asking questions of nobody being there and you actually hear a voice, I think your house is haunted. And then he wants you to take lots of pictures, preferably when you're topless. No, it's use different types of film. Who uses film anymore? I mean, really?
Really?
I mean, I used to. I mean, the high-speed film was what I remember they used to catch images on, especially in dark rooms. And then, of course, once you've collected all of your evidence, if you find an orb, it's probably nothing. Those are always dust or bugs.
What about if it's glowing?
What about if it ate your chihuahua? This is I did not read this article before I went with it because I just wanted to respond. Yeah, so this guy's like, if you find anything else, you may have Casper on your hands. So, wow. Stunning display
so what do you do then?
Holery. Well, you don't call this jerk off because he's clearly just going to make fun of people who actually have things going on. And like we covered on the show on Saturday and your show last week, things do happen. We're not saying it's, a poltergeist or a ghost, but sometimes these things kind of look like it. So, yeah. That's not exactly what I was hoping for, but again, it's like you're on your own, but write it all down in a notebook.
Yeah, make sure you document it so people know when they find your stiff, lifeless body that it was a ghost that took you out. Thanks for that.
I don't walk around looking for things to believe in, but there are things that happen and we can't explain them. And just saying that, that crazy thing that happened was a dust mite, or it was just it was a bug that got in a camera lens. That's not the case. And saying things like this is incredibly disrespectful and dismissive. We may not understand what things are, but there are plenty of indigenous tribes all throughout North America, in other parts of the world, that have had phenomena they've been reporting long before stupid white people with pronouns showed up, and I find that stuff really insulting. I really do.
Yes, and we've talked about it before and how there is a certain idea that there is a resonance that can be trapped within buildings or with items.
Yeah.
It might not be Casper, but there might be certainly something there. But yeah, that goes a little bit too flippant. But I guess it was sound advice to start off with, but it doesn't say what to do once you listen back on that tape and you do hear somebody answering. Where do you go from there, apart from to wherever the local exorcist is?
And Larry's right. Electronics, depending on what you have, and sometimes the older stuff that's out there, that where the insulation isn't very good, especially tube amp based things, they can throw off all kinds of RF radio frequency noise that will show up all over the place in power draws. Amateur radio equipment that's broadcasting at a variety of frequencies and wavelengths with different power can cause distortion. But when shit's flying across the room and something's telling you to get out, that's not the old stereo like I got back there.
No, that's not swamp gas. No, that's
not a bad ground while you're listening to an old REM album. That's like, get a priest, saying.
Surprised you didn't say docking, Salty.
Rockin' what docking? That one's for Prophet of the Dragon, who doesn't know what good music is. Dawkins. Look it up. Best 80s metal band ever. Just saying.
It's true. Didn't like it. Bless him. Psychodwarf, thank you. Thank you again. He says, long ago I made a deal with house fairies. Leave the weapons and important paperwork alone. I'll trade shiny corns and hard candies for trade. A lot of people do that. A lot of people still believe, especially in the UK, we have the idea, not fairies so much, because fairies are, you don't mess with fairies, but we have things called brownies, which are basically little creatures that kind of cause mischief, and you can kind of bribe them not to do it by leaving out treats and, you know, a saucer of milk or something for them.
We used to have things called brownies in America, and it was a pre-Girl Scouts thing. This is back when we had two genders, like this is like 10 years ago. But there was this thing called brownies for very young girls to join into before they went into Girl Scouts, and they unfortunately had no magical powers, and no pots of gold. Yeah. Look at this.
Look at this. See, Leia Rose has excellent taste. There you go.
Your first chow was called Dawkin.
Soul Assassin gets it. Absolutely.
Yes. Warriors! Of course, that is from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, the only legitimate sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah.
And hey, to Sentient Dildo, he said, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Absolutely.
You and Ray Parker Jr. both. He's also in love with the other woman, in addition to Ghostbusters. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Those were his only two charting hits in the 80s. All right, I'll stop talking about 80s music. Let's talk about the fleet of UFOs that was captured on video. Nice. And this is trippy because I'm tired of half-assed videos of dumb shit. But the fleet of UFOs captured on video over Sacramento, California puzzles viewers, baffles experts. This is from October 3rd of this year.
Nice. Awesome.
So let's not screw around. I'm going to show you the video. There are experts who like to talk out their ass. So this eyewitness was driving along the freeway. We noticed what we presume to be three UFOs, or is it one giant UFO, which broke into four, which expanded and flew alongside the freeway by this car for 20 minutes. The driver wanted to stop, but said there was no safe place to stop in California or on the road. Californian aliens, we all know they live there. So again, in the MUFON site, which is actually a great site to go to if you're looking at paranormal activity, Bigfoot, cryptids, unidentified aerial phenomenon, MUFON is a great place to go. So this video was shot on September 30th of this year at 10:10 Pacific time in the evening, driving in Sacramento, and I'm gonna find this damn video at some point. There it is.
There we go. Oh, look at that. Okay.
So this is too legit to quit. I'm gonna go ahead and go full screen on this. So there you go. The dude is driving along. So yeah, I know it. What the hell is it? It's out of focus, right? It gets better. We'll skip around a little bit. So there we go. So look at it.
That okay.
Wait for it.
This is interesting.
So if this guy is on the highway, he's probably doing 70, 80 miles an hour. And if we... Yeah, so watch this. Now there's four of them.
And they're staying in formation.
Yeah.
This is a really good video. I haven't seen this one.
It is weird because if you look at how you look at things in 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions, so you get X, Y, and then Z, like what the hell is this, And it keeps going on. There's another video from someone else looking at it from a different perspective on the same road, so it was confirmed by multiple people.
Oh, another light just popped on.
Yeah.
See it? It's the fourth light.
So
that's actually a really good video. That makes it change.
It is interesting. So viewers offer their opinions as to what this could be. It's not a fleet. It's one big triangular ship. I don't know about that. It is not flares. It's not flares dropped from a jet. I mean, those things were moving.
Somebody said about drones as well, but those are way too big to be drones.
they have a high degree of luminescence if they're drones. And if they're drones, they would have to be military grade and of a size probably bigger than the Predators that we use. The United States uses. They're probably going to use them against me at some point. But yeah, no, they're not flares. Another guy, I saw those when I was riding my e-bike. 14 miles away. They're bigger and brighter and looked really obvious. Whatever these craft are, they are not what we in the public normally see in the sky. So again, check out MUFON for more information on this.
That is fascinating.
Does this mean this is ETs? No. What this means is that there's more crazy things in the skies, and you see a lot of it around the military bases on the Pacific coast, especially in California, San Diego as well. It's fascinating because we did talk about this, and we will talk about it a lot more. We did some research on that prediction of using UFOs in an alien invasion potentially next year in 23 and 24 to kind of
watch this
rattle
space,
our
guys.
cages. Because if you can convince us all that a cold requires you to stay locked up for multiple years and get poked full of experimental things. You could probably make people believe that with holograms and the DARPA program stuff that, we're being invaded by aliens. And the only way we can all make it is if we join hands under one world government and get chipped and have a social credit system like China and live like third world slaves. That's the only way this faked alien invasion, could be resolved. What's fascinating is we found, I can't believe this, and I got to be really careful about this. You know who Werner von Braun is? The former Nazi scientist responsible for developing the V2 rocket, which decimated the UK during World War II, was then captured by American soldiers and taken to the United States under Operation Paperclip, where we took scientists from the Nazi regime and put them into our space program, which is how we got to the moon so quickly. At least one of the reasons. Werner von Braun, on his deathbed, predicted exactly what we've been talking about, which is faking an alien invasion for the purpose of creating a one world government. This is Werner von Braun.
He was adamant about this. This was something that he brought up repeatedly to people.
He outlined pretty much everything that's happened in the last 40 years. And then he's like, the last step will be faking this alien invasion. But we'll talk about that on another show.
We will. We need to do a little bit more research on it, but I'm looking forward to covering that because I think it's going to be an interesting, if not risky, topic to cover. But let me give a shout out to a couple of people. So Kai, good to see you, says they need to use ships the public hasn't associated with the government yet, which means the government craft they have been caught with already, like the TR-3Bs would be our defense in the fake invasion. Absolutely. Yeah.
Bingo.
And let me give a shout out as well. Let me scroll back up. Hey, very Abomination AJ, great to see you, says, what up, people? Werewolf stream. Yes, indeed. And some other woo-woo thrown in as well, because we like to mix it up a little bit.
London. Abomination AJ, reach out to me on Twitter. We got a project coming up that I'd like to have your talents on. And this is just easier because I forget things all the time. So just tag me. Thanks.
And let me say hey and welcome to I Talk Cryptids. Well, so do we. You are in the right place. Warm welcome to you. Hey there.
We should collaborate and not form a community, with safe spaces.
And talk woo-woo, indeed, and weirdness, because we
just do the opposite of the blue hair, multiple pronoun people, and I think you're guaranteed a much happier life. We'll just say that.
So, I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about werewolves, and what I wanted to cover was one that I'm a lot more familiar with. It is the story of the Dogman of Michigan. So this creature allegedly has more sightings than Bigfoot.
Yeah.
If you believe it.
Yeah, it's fascinating because we covered the Bigfoot Hotel, which was up in the Upper
Mm-hmm.
Peninsula. We also talked about the Paulding Lights. I don't know if that was last week on your show or mine, but there's a lot of interesting phenomena that does occur around the Great Lakes. And as we talked about, we are going to talk about a very little talked about subject, which is the Great Lakes Triangle, which has
Yes.
shown the same effects as the Bermuda Triangle, as well as other triangles around the world. So we're going to do some more research on that and let you all decide what you think about it, because it is either a series of remarkable coincidences or there's something to it, you know?
Yes, and let me say hey to Gun Bunny. Hello, lovely. We've got Trinoculus P as well. Great to see you guys. You guys are awesome. And Datman55, hey there. You guys are great. Let me grab that. So, let me see what they say about the Dogman. So it says, for a rural man like Ray Greenway, creepy, twinkling eyes in the darkness was nothing to be worried about. He lived in the area of, let me see if I can pronounce this correctly, Manisti? Is that
Manistee, Michigan.
Manistee, Michigan. Okay, cool. A place containing its fair share of critters. One particular night in 1986, however, he had a brush with nature that he didn't expect. He spotted a pair of twinkling, I probably wouldn't have said twinkling, eyes, but something was wrong. They were high in the air, not where you would expect the gaze of a four-legged creature to be. Spoiler alert, it wasn't on four legs. To Ray's surprise, the thing, whatever it was, made a break for him and then jumped clear across the road, never to be seen again.
Interesting.
He may have glimpsed a bit of fur, but as an article for Ranker puts it, one thing that always stays with him were those yellow eyes. In the same piece, Ray recalls that I saw both eyes as if it were looking at me the whole time. Along with the leaping ability is what I will never forget.
One of the most important things to know about if you're in the dark, besides don't fall and break a leg and don't walk off a cliff or what other stuff, but sorry, 1 second.
Yes, what to recognize when you're looking at a predator. So
sorry, high pollen, a lot of pollen today in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Blue eyes are prey. Blue eyes are what you'll see in friendly creatures. When you see a red reflection in the dark, it's a sign of a predator. One of the things that I used to do when I had a homestead, because I fenced in a pasture and I had goats and chickens and turkeys, I mean, I'd put them up at night, but is I set little solar powered LED sets of red glowing eyes. I know it sounds crazy, right? But you set them at a certain height, because coyotes was what I was worried about, because those assholes were always running around at night, howling and screaming and trying to get in, get my chickens, get my goats and other stuff, and my turkeys like that. So what you do is you find a guide and you put the red eyes taller than the creature that you're worried about. So coyotes are a certain size. So I put them at the size of what would have been a wolf, which would have been native to where I was, which was remote Washington State. So what that means is when these asshole coyotes are running around all night raising all kinds of holy hell, they see these red light eyes that to them look like a much larger predator than them. So they GTFO, and even though they're raising all kinds of holy hell out there, and I may have stood out there in my boxers with a fire, with my 2A in hand, because I loved my goats and my chickens. I was rather indifferent to, except they made really good eggs. But it's just these little things like that you learn. And the fact, I do have a point to this, the fact that they have those yellow eyes like that is a remarkable thing, not to mention the crazy leaping abilities,
Yes, indeed. And obviously this is something that a lot of people have said, that the height of this thing, they don't say that it's something, well, a big dog or a big wolf. It is always something bigger than a man. So it goes on to say, what did he witness that unusual night? The answer could lie in one of Michigan's enduring local legends, the Dogman. So there have been far more sightings than Bigfoot, who is practically the poster creature for cryptozoology. Now, there are some people that say the Dogman and Sasquatch are the same. At least in a lot of these stories, people are getting them confused. So what they're seeing is really Bigfoot, but what they think they're seeing is a werewolf-type creature. So they're getting a little bit conflated.
They're different. I think they're different. And And then you have to work in the legends of the Wendigo, and then a Sasquatch I think is a more humanoid, up and much larger creature. I think this is more, I would dare say, werewolf in characteristics, at least in
Yes.
my opinion. So,
yes, indeed. And just going by this description, I would be inclined to agree. So it goes on to say, thought to be half man, half dog, Dogman is known for his ability to walk on two legs. If you ever came face to face with him, you'd soon know about it. The head has been compared to a ferocious hound, and there's the type that resemble a Sasquatch. So that's where the kind of confusion comes in. So like Sasquatch, Dogman is the category cryptid, which means legendary and elusive beast.
There we go.
There we go. There's a good example.
Well, that's a coyote. Yeah. You see how the eyes glow? Those would be red in the dark. That's a trail cam, so it was probably motion activated. Somebody's watching for a nice buck to walk by. But Purple, scroll up, because it talks about some of the earliest accounts of this were back when Michigan had just become a state. This was still a territory when these first reports came out. So, yeah.
Yes, and that lends this particular creature a lot more credence, because I always think the further back you go with these sightings, the more kind of credible they become, especially if the description doesn't really change over the years. So first recorded was back in 1887, where a couple of lumberjacks got more than they bargained for. Hey! In the trees.
I am a lumberjack and I'm not okay. The dog man got me and that's really gay.
In the trees of Wexford County. Not that they didn't survive to tell the tale. So, okay, that's not too bad, I guess. They just probably came round a certain tree and there he was. Despite the fearsome reputation, accounts of dogman attacks have yet to be substantiated in the mainstream media. So, yeah, Dogman doesn't seem to really want to have anything to do with people.
Can you blame him? I generally don't either. I mean, I got to go back to work after this, and I'm considering becoming homeless, because apparently that's a lot simpler than actually being a taxpayer and the homeowner in this goddamn country I live in now. But no, I mean, Dogman, that's one of those things. They have it up in the Upper Peninsula. That, of course, is the part that sits on top of Wisconsin. You have Lake Michigan between Michigan and Wisconsin. You have Lake Superior over there. Those woods, and I have talked about this a lot, having grown up around those woods. Those are deep, dense woods, primarily deciduous forage, which means leafy trees, as opposed to coniferous, not carnivorous forests, although a carnivorous forest would be fun as hell to send some people to. But these are deep woods. They really are. And all the time, researchers are finding things that they're like, oh, we thought that was extinct, or we don't know what the hell that is. Now, a lot of it's coming from, the deep ocean trenches, but they're also finding species of plant, even in North America, that they're like, we thought that this didn't exist anymore, because they went deeper. They went farther. No one thinks about a lot of these places because they're not as exciting as, say, Yosemite or Glacier National Park. But the woods in these areas of northern Michigan, in northern Wisconsin, in northern Minnesota are absolutely fascinating, to a degree terrifying. And one thing they are is incredibly remote. Incredibly remote. Now, it wasn't quite that way in the 80s and the 70s, when there were a lot of hangers-on, say, old people that moved up there and just didn't want to go anywhere. Well, they've died off, that World War II generation. And because industry has left these areas, the populations have gone down and down even more, because the factories are gone, because they went to China. But these areas, they become even more reforested, almost probably reaching the levels they were when the Native Americans were there before the white man came in. We
talked about that in regards to the Bigfoot Hotel that we found as well, didn't we? Because it was so remote, and nobody goes there anymore. They were just desperate for people to visit this hotel, and I can't blame them.
Yeah, Cynthia Dildo says Dogman doesn't want to deal with human bigotry and non-inclusion. It's true. Dogman is definitely he's on the diversity and inclusion gravy train, like all of the community organizers. We'll just say that. And then, of course, we have Psychodwarf 9 says he now wants a carnivorous tree. Dude, I do too. Really.
At a Venus flytrap, they're not easy to keep, unfortunately, depending on your weather. You get a cold snap and it just takes them out, unfortunately. But they're a lot of fun to have.
I thought you were going to say it only like cheeseburgers with no ketchup or mustard, plain, and you fed it a Whopper. You fed your Venus flytrap a Whopper one time and you killed it. But,
and it's like, yeah.
Yeah. If it's not Whataburger, GTFO.
Exactly, yeah. Even Venus flytraps have excellent taste when it comes to Whataburger. Guys, would you like to see supposed evidence of the Michigan Dog Man from 2008?
Well, you're gonna anyway, so here we go.
Gonna do it anyway. It was a rhetorical question. Okay, let's see.
Software and techniques.
Oh, look at that. We've got a
Wow.
Okay.
The best of the 90s video.
There we go.
Software. Trotted into view on all fours. While she peered through the viewfinder, she was amazed when the dog stood upright and appeared to size up his chances of stalking the deer.
That's a furry.
He stood there rock steady for at least 2 minutes, she wrote later.
I don't know. What do you think, guys? Do you think that that's what is that?
That's a German Shepherd caught leaping in the air. That's a plausible explanation. The size is larger than most German Shepherds, though, and I know what you're saying. I know German Shepherds are quite large. There is something weird about this, though, because the way the elbows bend. I don't know what this is. Is it a human in a dog suit? Is it somebody like doing some crazy furry shit in the woods? I don't know. I wouldn't call this conclusive, Purple Valkyrie. That's what I would say. So.
I wouldn't. The chat's saying it's a furry. A wild furry appears.
Yeah.
Good question, Soul Assassin. Why is every cryptid video blurry? Indeed. Sentient Dildo says 144p working man's resolution.
It's true. It's true. So, you know, for somebody probably had one of those little 90s like flip case cell phones and it was all full of like hamburger grease because nobody wipes off their goddamn lens anymore. Just take a picture and put it on social media. I mean, that's probably the best explanation. Again, you can see a tail, you can see the markings on the face, which are consistent with either a Belgian Malinois, or whatever the hell they say that, a German Shepherd. Zax is Canadian. I'll defer to his judgment on this, is that it's a bear suit. But dude, there's like a tail or something, or maybe it's like some type of pegging thing. I don't know, but it's like, I'm not entirely sure.
In Michigan. I'm not going to judge.
I'm going to judge. When I think of Dogman, this is not what I think of. It's not. So, but it's interesting. I think it's full of shit, but it's interesting. You know.
I think you're right. So it says, sadly for conspiracy buffs, the Gable film turned out to be a fake. But that doesn't mean that there aren't more.
Surprised Pikachu face. Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool. I mean, for the time, I guess it looked pretty effective, but I would want to see a little bit more information. But
I think there's something
like
up
the
there.
Dogman, I really do, and I've seen over the years, and I think you guys were talking about it in the chat as well. You know, there's been this kind of resurgence in people seeing this thing.
Yeah, Cavatino Cavalry Minche says Little Shop of Horrors was a cautionary story. I'm not a fan of musical theater, but I agree with you. Yeah, the was Seymour, wasn't it? The giant Venus flytrap.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
I'm still traumatized by musical theater. Yeah. I just wanted to do theater. I don't want to hear Annie. The sun'll come out. No, shut up. You know what I mean? You guys want to see some real theater? I'm going to go there if that's okay. And you know what I'm going to do?
Yes.
I'm going to show you something that I would call probably the worst written piece of fiction I have seen outside of the Rings of Power. And what's particularly disturbing about this is it is a public service message. You know, when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s, this was no joke. And the last thing you would ever do in the country I grew up in, while it wasn't perfect, is just make dumb shit up to tell people to do if there is World War III. Well, we are not talking about California, surprisingly. We're talking about New York State. So this is an actual public service announcement that is put out on local television as well as the internet for people living in the New York City 5-borough and surrounding areas what they should do if there's a nuclear attack.
Good luck is all I can say.
Let's see what the emergency management forces of the state, city, and borough of effing New York say. I cannot believe this.
What invaluable advice are they going to impart?
So
Something.
there's been a nuclear attack. Don't ask me how or why. Just know that the big one has hit, okay?
We got diversity. We have a multiracial female who's in charge telling you how to survive the apocalypse. So here we go. So, okay, dude. Yeah, like, oh my God, it's like World War III. So like, oh my God, what do we do? Well, she's going to tell you what not to do.
Okay, so what do? There are 3 important steps that I want you to remember. Step 1, get inside fast.
Let's see
You, your friends, your family, get inside. And no, staying in the car is not an option.
Did you actually, with this advice, why don't you just pull your pants down, stick your ass in the air, and just go in the street?
You need to get into a building and move away from the windows. Step 2, stay inside. Shut all doors and windows.
I want to scream. We are talking about nuclear detonations over New York City. Going inside a building just means you're going to self-bury yourself. If there's anything left from the initial thermal flash, which will vaporize the stone of the building you're in, but let's see what else she has to say.
Head there. If you don't have one, get as far into the middle of the building as possible.
You know what this advice is? This is advice if you live in a place that gets tornadoes. You know what a tornado isn't? An effing nuclear bomb! But let's see what else she has to say.
If you were outside after the blast, get clean immediately. Remove and bag all outer clothing.
What's wrong with this? So the big one has just fallen. It's World War III. The most important thing you can do is get into your shower, which doesn't exist because your building has either collapsed on top of you. If you're lucky, that's if you're 30 effing miles away from the epicenter. Okay? But let's talk about this. They're assuming your water's going to be working. I mean,
and that it won't be irradiated.
Yeah, you know where you could maybe do this is, I don't know, in Maine? You could maybe do this in Maine. But the problem with Maine is you have all the nuclear sub-bases which are there off of Kittery. It's just this stuff makes me want to scream. This is disinformation. This is very effing disinformation that PayPal should be fining people for. But no.
To keep radioactive dust or ash away from
your radioactive dust. That's
3.
What's happened.
Stay tuned. Follow media for
all right, those of you in chat, stay tuned. Be sure to check your cell phone during the nuclear war. What's wrong with that? There's something called an electromagnetic pulse. An electromagnetic pulse is what occurs from a coronal mass injection to the sun, or when you have a nuclear device detonated at high or medium altitude. The high altitude ones can take out all electronics on half of the continent. But that's apparently racist and patriarchy because that's the effing truth. So they want you to stay tuned to the local media. Well, I got news for you. The local media is just as vaporized as your dumbass is that's sitting in a closet in your house, okay? I mean, this is insane. This is disinformation.
For more
there is no media.
Don't forget to sign up for Notify NYC for official alerts and updates.
You know what's going to happen? You're not going to get email. Do you know why? First of all, the EMP, this shit is not going to work. Electronics are not going to work. Your car, if you're even, let's say you're not in the epicenter, let's say you're 20, 30 miles away, there's a damn good chance, unless that car was made before 1976, that it will never start again. these people and what they're doing to just how effing horrible nuclear war is. This is horrifying to me. Who is this made for? It's made for the same people who have 27 pronouns, green hair, and I don't know, like, this is one of the most dangerous things I have ever seen in my life.
Don't go outside until officials say it's safe.
They won't, because they're dead. You know when you can come out? 10,000 years. Come out in 10,000 years.
Louise says, as long as we follow these instructions, do we get to call our town Mordor?
Guys, this is what I was losing my shit about earlier. Yeah, and I know,
true.
Purple, I'm over. And I'll be fine because I don't have another meeting for like a couple minutes. But this is the stuff where those of you who grew up, I mean, in Purple, you probably remember too. But like, this is no joke. We had fallout shelters. They were not a closet in the middle of our house. They were subterranean. They were under the elementary school that I went to that was built in 1912. And it has an actual civilian defense designation. There's the old sign that says fallout shelter. They removed all of those. Do you know why? Because we won the effing Cold War and there wasn't ever going to be this bullshit again. But now apparently there is, because reasons, you know. I'm just tired of holding this shit in, and the lies that are being told right now to us every single day about everything. It's a lot.
It is.
This is a good way to die. I mean, if you're in NYC and the bomb drops, you're probably not going to make it unless you're in southern Jersey or mid-state Connecticut. But even then, radiation poisoning. But again, this is what's so horrifying about all this. This is not a video game, you know? It's the fact that the state of New York is doing this. I guess it really shouldn't surprise me, but it's just horrifying and it makes me nuts. Yeah. There's no Vault 101 for this one.
No,
you know?
no.
But,
and it's again, as Salty correctly said, it is misinformation, and it is just scaring a population for no reason. You know. Oh. But yeah, that's what we were laughing about before we went live, and I want to thank Salty for bringing that up, because it is eye-opening, the stuff that is being put forward.
Yeah. If you like 2022, you're gonna really, really love 2023 when there's no food and there's no energy. And this thing that's temporary, you guys remember 2 weeks to sell this bed? It's funny how the temporary things become permanent. And if you don't like it, you're an hysterophobe, and don't worry about it. But I got to get back to this thing that I do weekdays because I'm not rich. But thanks for having me on the show, Purple Valkyrie.
Thank you for being here. And guys, if you didn't see it earlier, Salty and Amanda Nefron released a fantastic reading of the Cask of Amontillado, which I've linked earlier in the chat. I will link it again as well, but please check it out. And we will be back on Salty's channel on Saturday as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's no immediate rush, Purple. You can play your long outro. I just want to say that. But yeah, it's the Dark Passages series. I'm lucky and blessed enough to get to work with very talented creators who are very generous with their time. Check out Nathan's reading of the famous Edgar Allan Poe macabre short story for Halloween. I did all of the custom animations and green screen work for this really good video. I hope you enjoy it. And then we have this weekend, there will be another classic horror movie restoration that I'm released called Horror Hotel, starring a young Christopher Lee in doing probably his only one American accent he ever had to do through an entire movie. It's a fascinating movie. But yeah, we have a very special project involving a lot of people that will premiere Halloween night, and I'm really excited about it. So take care, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Guys, let me say a huge thank you to Salty for always bringing fantastic content and for being willing to do this. I really appreciate it. And a huge thank you to you guys in the chat. You guys were awesome today. We had some amazing comments. And since the werewolves work so well, what I might do is hunt up a few more and maybe touch on it again in a couple of weeks' time. We can cover it again. But sorry.
Thanks. No. I wanted to interrupt you and derail your show because that's what I do. You know who you work with. Come on, how long have we been doing this? But no, I was going to say thanks for having me on Purple Valkyrie for wild, weird, wonderful Werewolf Woo Woo Wednesday. Thanks.
Heck yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Thank you for your super chats. You guys are wonderful. We will be back. I will be back on Friday, and we will be back talking more woo-woo, as I said, on Saturday. So from myself and from Salty, have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, guys.